A private sector consultation on the OECS Economic Union took place Wednesday at the Fortune Hotel. Dominica's Labor Commissioner discusses the functions of the Labor Division, and the government commissions an independent appraisal of the abattoir project. Hello and welcome to another edition of National Focus. I am Tarnia Green.
And I'm Jarna Hector. Stay with us for details of the headline stories and others right after the break.
The facts as they are, brought to you every day. Only on GIS Channel 7.
Welcome back. Time now for the details of the news. The government of Dominica continues to provide the enabling environment to allow young entrepreneurs to start their own businesses. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit highlighted the Dominica Youth Business Trust as one of government's latest initiatives directed at this goal. The Prime Minister referenced this in his address at the recent graduation ceremony of the St. Joseph's Small Business Entrepreneurs Program.
We also have the Youth Business Trust, some of you would know, and we have provided guaranteed loans to many young people across Dominica. Because one of the challenges which we as young people would have is that we have an idea, yes, we know what we want to do, we know how we want to do it, we know how much it will cost to do it, but we do not have the collateral or the security that the credit union and the banks are asking for. And this is why the government has put in place those programs to set aside the requirement for security and the collateral. Because usually they ask you for what is commonly called a land paper, a certificate of title. And most people do not have that. They may have land, their parents' land, but they don't have a title to put to the bank to get the loan.
Young entrepreneurs are not the only beneficiaries from government funding. The Prime Minister disclosed that farmers also stand to benefit from the special loan facilities now available at the Aid Bank.
And even at the Aid Bank, we have put in money for farmers. For banana farmers, you're talking about 0% interest loans. 0% interest loans. I will tell you that there is nowhere in the world or the Caribbean that we're talking about where you'll hear about 0% interest loans. And for the non-banana farmers, we have 50-50, what is called, so if you apply for $40,000, that farmer will get $15,000 as a grant and $15,000 as a loan, and that loan will be at 2%. And several dozens of farmers have benefited from these two facilities at the Aid Bank, and it is a revolving facility.
In other news, the most recent in a series of consultations on the OECS Economic Union took place on Wednesday at the Fortune Hotel. This discussion invited representatives of the local private sector to liaise with OECS officials in discussions aimed at getting closer to the full implementation of the OECS Economic Union. Minister for National Security, Immigration and Labor, Honorable Charles Savre, was representing the nation's leader, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, at the event. Honorable Savre described the objectives of the discussion, citing its importance to a fully functional economic union via the revised Treaty of Basse-Terre.
The purpose of these series of consultations is to engage the public and private sectors, community groups, and private citizens through town hall meetings, television and radio programs to continue promotion of the OECS integration process and economic union through direct engagement with citizens of member states on the integration process, and to obtain views and stakeholder inputs into the development and execution of initiatives to implement the revised Treaty of Bastille.
Dominica's Minister for Employment, Trade, Industry and Diaspora Affairs, Honorable Dr. Colin McIntyre, sees the consultation as another step in the right direction. Dr. McIntyre believes the benefits of regional integration can already be observed in various sectors, both locally and in the region.
There are many examples of how the people of the OECS have benefited from integration. Our current currency, the EC dollar, and the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, which is the ECCB, which helps to guarantee monetary and financial stability. The Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, which is the ECSC, the Regional Security System, the RSS, the Pharmaceutical Procurement System, the PPS, which provides affordable drugs and medical equipment through bulk purchasing to ministries of health, resulting in significant cost sharing. Allied to this is the Regional HIV/AIDS Program, assisting member states with the prevention, containment, and treatment of persons with AIDS. The Export Development Unit, the EDU, this unit provides technical assistance to firms and industries to stimulate increases in manufactured exports from the region.
Also delivering an address at the opening ceremony of those discussions was Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Hector John. He wants private sector representatives participating in the discussions to make the most of the opportunity to contribute to the furtherance of the OECS Economic Union in any way possible.
The onus is on the private sector to adapt to the regulations and to take full advantage of the wide range of opportunities. The common market gives immediate access to about 600,000 potential customers. Also, it will automatically add value to goods and services within the OECS region and in the process increase financial returns. With the free market, a Cardenago from Dominica can go to St. George's, Grenada to set up an indigenous craft shop, while a contractor from St. Vincent can bid for a project in St. Kitts. And also, HHV Research can move to St. Lucia.
We'll bring you more from that meeting in Thursday's newscast. Tanya, what jumps out at me in this story is that discussions are involving people who are actually affected by the OECS Economic Union, that is the private sector. And usually with high-powered meetings like this one, it usually happens behind closed doors. And it's interesting to note that the people who have a role to play are pulling in the people who are going to be directly affected, and that's something to be recognized.
Yes, and it was very good to see this morning that at the Fortune Hotel, quite a number of private sector representatives found it necessary to be present at this important meeting, because really this mission is to educate the Dominican public on the importance of the economic union. We've been hearing lots of talk over time about the economic union. We want to understand better who is going to benefit, what are the benefits at hand for us, and this is what this morning's conference sought to do. The members of the private sector had an opportunity to ask questions, ask key questions. What does this mean for me as a business person? What does this mean for me as a Dominican? What does that mean for me as a media person? You know, so there are a number of issues that continue to plague the minds of people. For example, the issue of hassle-free travel. This is an issue that is concerning a lot of individuals. We hear of the issue of CARICOM. Now, with this OECS Economic Union, this is quite different. You know, with the CARICOM free movement, there are certain restrictions because you would have to have a certificate to qualify you as a skilled national from CARICOM to work in another country. With the OECS Economic Union and the issue of free travel, it would mean that you would not have to have a certificate. Once you present a national ID, then you will be eligible to work in another country within the OECS subgrouping. So these are some of the issues that are coming out at you, that are jumping at you at this consultation in Dominica this week. And we understand that the process of information will continue because on the agenda there are a number of town hall meetings, the number of television and radio programs to really educate the public, to give them a better understanding, to allow them to embrace this thing about OECS Economic Union.
And we've been hearing about regional integration for a long time. It seems that right now steps are being taken, and before too long, the region will in fact be integrated. Naturally, GIS News will continue to keep you updated on these developments.
Moving along, Labour Commissioner Matthew LeBlanc is concerned about statements made recently in the media by a local trade union expressing lack of confidence in the Labour division. LeBlanc is seeking to clarify statements made recently in the media regarding delays in the resolution of matters between employees and employers. Speaking to GIS News on Tuesday, the Labour Commissioner explained in part the role of the Labour Division as a mediator.
Part of our function is the investigation of complaints made before us, and the investigation takes different routes. It is, of course, a facts finding, because we have many complaints that are brought to the minister and is referred to us for investigation, and most of them comes from the union. Also, some complaints may come direct to me, which I refer to the minister. Upon receipt of this complaint, the minister refers it to the Labour Commissioner in accordance with the law, and the Labour Commissioner must take the necessary steps to inquire into the complaint, and we do an investigation. Resulting from the investigation, we may invite the parties, and most of the times we do that. It is an alternative dispute resolution mechanism that is away from the court system, and we do have an industrial board from which members are selected to form tribunals to hear and determine matters that are referred to the tribunal. But before that referral to arbitration by the tribunal, the Labour Department, we are involved in conciliation, that is to bring disputing parties together and to hear both stories and to decide who may be at fault in accordance with the law, and advise the parties and try to suggest solutions.
He says the division is guided by law and as such has no inclination to any one party as it relates to matters of industrial relations. On the contrary, the aim is to assist both parties to settle their matters fairly.
We do not at any time have any bias towards any employer or employee. The law itself is very protective towards the employee, because the labor laws emerged because of the exploitation and inhumane treatment that employees, endured for centuries. And in the 20th, 19th and 20th century, some of the best laws were developed to guarantee those basic human rights and the dignity of persons at work. Sometimes the unions may have issues. We can't always resolve the issue in the way that the union desire. We must be guided by the laws, and whether or not the union is, or the employee is correct in assuming that the Labour Department is reluctant in investigating their matter or giving a solution of their liking to the problem, is less important to us. What we have to ensure is that we work within the framework of the law, we maintain a healthy relationship with both the employer and the employee, and acknowledging that the aggrieved party is the one who's suffering, we have to ensure that his rights was not trampled upon.
In the event that these matters are unresolved by the Labour Division, they are then referred to the minister responsible for the department, who may or may not refer the matter for arbitration. LeBlanc assures the public that the Labour Division has no influence on the results of matters put before a tribunal.
Once the matter has been referred to arbitration by the minister, the Labour officers can no longer be involved in the matter. It is like to say to a police officer he can now go to the judge and try to influence the judge's decision, or the police officer, after investigating the matter and it is before the director of public prosecution, he can't engage the magistrate to have a favorable outcome in the matter. And neither can we. In case of the tribunal, engage the tribunal to influence a decision or not. Our engagement to that point has terminated, and the matter is before the tribunal. So the expression of frustrations of some of the trade unions are not really justified, especially as they are aware that the matters have been investigated and conciliated and is before the tribunal. it is unjustified and unfair to hold the Labor Ministry responsible for a matter that is now before the Tribunal for Arbitration and for many reasons have not been terminated.
He explained that the tribunal was designed to deal with matters relating to industrial relations and employees are free to seek their own representation. However, he says delays in matters have become common as most individuals wish to be represented by attorneys, which results in frequent adjournments. LeBlanc insists that each employee or group of employees has the right to choose whether they wish to be associated with the trade union.
I think it is unfair for any trade union to blame the ministry if a collective group of persons, workers, decide to apply to the minister for this certification of a union. And if an employer is in any way, during his activities or by his action, creating disaffection between the union and the employees, that union can make a formal complaint before the minister, the matter can be brought to the tribunal, and also the union can take the matter to the court. Once a collective group of workers who are the bargaining unit have signed a petition to the minister asking to decertify a union, irrespective of the union's view on what might have led to that, the fact that these persons have consented on one document to put their signatures together, to make an application or petition before the minister to decertify a union, this to us is significant.
The Labour Commissioner hopes that the public understands their fundamental rights as citizens as reflected in the Constitution of Dominica and the country's labour laws. He is adamant that the ministry should not be accused of wrongdoing as matters are dealt with according to law.
And Dominica's new telecoms director, Bennett Thomas, has given the assurance that as the world of information communication technology expands, Dominica will put in place the necessary legislation to support these developments. Mr. Thomas says telecommunications and ICT is very important to the socio-economic development of any country, hence the need to be up to date.
Technology will always be ahead, but what we will do is, as the technologies come, we will develop necessary regulation to facilitate that kind of thing. Because, first of all, regulations are not intended to stagnate innovation. It is only a form of control so that people can regulate the industry and the players. So there will always be technology moving on. As the technologies come on and there's a need to have various legislation, we will do that. But always be mindful that the regulations are not to stifle innovation. It's just for regulating and ensuring that persons work within the parameters that they're supposed to work with.
Mr. Thomas replaces Sylvester Cadet, who served as the island's telecoms director for 10 years. He comes to the position as a qualified telecommunications analyst and a network operations specialist who has had 25 years' experience working in the sector.
And Dominica's Environment Minister, Honorable Dr. Kenneth Darrow, is of the view that the idea of a green economy is not a new concept to the Caribbean region. The minister, who represented Dominica at a regional conference on green economy in St. Lucia last week, says there are numerous examples in the region that the green economy concept is already taking root. He says Dominica's move to exploit geothermal reserves is one vivid example.
We think that the whole idea of a green economy really is not new to the region. I mean, we have numerous examples. For example, Barbados and the solar energy program. Even here in Dominica, I mean, we've been using hydro power for quite a bit to supplement our fossil fuel source of energy. So the whole idea of a green economy is not really, as I said, a novel idea to the region. It's just a matter right now of trying to consolidate, collaborate, share our success stories. I mean, right now we are literally putting our money where our mouth is in exploring our geothermal reserves. And we think that this by itself is like a classic example of a green economy. Where we are going to try to cut down on our use of fossil fuels, which of course we know go a long way into the production of greenhouse gases, which we know, which the experts say contributes to climate change.
Last week's Green Economy Conference in St. Lucia examined the green economy as an avenue for sustainable development and poverty eradication.
We are in the process, at the request of Cabinet, of doing an independent appraisal of that entire project So in addition to the work that we are doing in the Ministry of Agriculture, we're going to have an outside expert to evaluate the project itself, so that and as I was telling some of my colleagues, that is in keeping with best practice. If the project was being financed by the CDB or being financed by the World Bank, the people who are actually formulating the project would have to agree to an independent group, whether it is within the bank itself, appraising the project, so that when it comes to the board of the CDB or the board of the World Bank for approval, the board have the benefit of the people who are formulating the project as well as the people who have appraised the project. So we are in fact going to do that, so that we're much clearer on what it is that we have to do to make the abattoir project successful.
The abattoir, which will cater to pig and poultry production, is estimated to cost 10 million EC dollars. And that's the English segment of the news. We now join McPherson St. Luce for the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non, moi c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, le gouvernement Dominica investe en affaires géothermiques si l'on bagaille pour faire et puis green economy. Parole celle-là sortie au ministre environ Honorable Dr. Kenneth Darrow. Honorable Darrow dit ça discuté pendant meeting green economy qui prend place en Saint-Lucie semaine passée.
Nous avons investi en partie de l'argent dans géothermal et ça pas quoi, c'est peut-être un perfect exemple de ça green economy. Nous avons servi ça ça c'est geothermal reserves là. Même temps, nous avons code dans le fossil fuels. Et nous savons que ces fossil fuels là, c'est ça qui contribue pour ces greenhouse gas qui scientists disent qui cause climate change. Et bien, ça, même temps, ça stimule l'économie parce que nous avons light, pour l'électricité descend. Ok, peut-être ça qui attract les investors because nous savons en Dominique, the operational cost électricité c'est plus haut peut-être après wages. So every même temps nous allons créer job ba population because nous la géothermal ça vient stream nous allons besoin ingénieur nous allons besoin un partie monde pour travailler ça. So ça c'est un perfect exemple de green economy. So comme on dit c'est pas un idée qui est neuf, ça maintenant qu'à faire c'est pour nous pour mener toute la région ensemble pour voir comment nous ça collaborer parce qu'il y a des pays comme Dominique avec les autres qui ont fait bobitin pour nous te share ces success story nous et also share ces failure parce que oui success là mais nous besoin parce que par exemple Nivis I mean il y a certains Nivis j'ai exploré géothermal mais ça n'est là qu'à garder so nous ne pouvons pas audio pour ça y fait wrong pour nous Dominique pas passer même chez ça là.
En d'autres nouvelles, conseil que le ministre de l'Éducation établi pour travailler affaires TVET, ça c'est bagaille technical vocationnel que joignent jeudi semaine là. Selon officier relations publiques conseil la Matthew Liblan, conseil là un chimé développer un plan et puis policier pour programme là.
Jeudi et vendredi nous avons un workshop ça c'est pour tout membres conseil là. Nous avons fait 2 réunions depuis fonctions là été formé. Nous avons joint représentation, association, moun qui travaille, qui a bâti case, qui a fait construction, ces choses-là. Et jeudi, nous avons en activité, nous avons créé un workshop, là, tout membres qui ont participé, avec tous les autres monde qui sont intéressés, qui ni pour faire éducation, préparation pour monde en technical vocation, education. Ça, c'est pour préparer nous meilleurs pour nous connaître ça qui fonctionne vraiment. Et comment nous pour travailler pour développement en policy nationale. Et un plan de travail pour restant 3 l'année là pour nous développer pour tout affaire TVET et pour avancer affaire TVET pour bénéfice tout Dominicain.
Voilà nouvelle gouvernement Dominique en collaboration et puis OECS et Association Commodité Dominique DAIC. C'est une consultation qui concerne l'Union économique et puis le secteur privé jordien. Officier secrétariat OECS ensemble et puis ça Dominique qui travaille divers secteurs fait présentation différents aspects pour faire et puis intégration OECS. Ministère de la Sécurité nationale, Honorable Charles Sovereign, représenté pour le ministère Honorable Roosevelt Skirt, pendant le ministère Commodité, Honorable Dr. John Colin McIntyre, et puis chef opposition honorable Hector John délivrer l'adresse en cérémonie pour te ouvrir consultation là. Chef opposition honorable Hector John qui est assis secteur privé pour prendre l'avantage opportunité intégration au ICS qu'a offert. En même temps aussi, ministre commodité, honorable Dr. John Colin McIntyre, qui est pour mettre politique parti à ses côtés et puis travailler ensemble pour intégration, passe gouvernement, passe affaire par quoi. Ministre McIntyre dit au ICS qu'il mérite plus participation pour intégration. D'autres activités qui prennent place, c'est consultation State College Dominic, Town Hall Meeting en Wozo, et puis programme TVET et puis radio. Il y a aussi tenu Town Hall Meeting en Ville-Guantans. Secrétariat là crée aussi ban information pour médias vendredi. Et puis finalement, le département de télécommunications qui a lancé une campagne pour le public là connaître plus contre les affaires ICT, ça c'est les affaires ordinateurs. Parole ça là sorti au directeur Télécom SNEF pour la Dominique, M. Bennett Thomas.
Ça nous avons try faire c'est pour aller pour que tout le monde Dominique, tous les enfants, tout le monde, toutes les jeunes filles, jeunes hommes, ni en awareness, ça bagaille internet ça fait bail. Nous avons fait un petit bagaille basic, tout le monde savent ça. Mais il n'y a plus pas de bagaille, il ça fait. Mais je ne pas connaître, il ça fait. Donc ça nous avons fait, c'est try aller à une campagne, tout le monde paye en gilet, D4, nous avons fait un ICT Fest. Nous avons try sensitiser le monde, ça où ça fait et puis ICT. So nous avons à radio, avec GIS, mapping, à newspaper, puis un roadshow, bagaille comme ça, mais faire le monde understand ça fait et puis ICT. So a lot more encore, okay, where on go awareness campaign.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelles en créole pour à présent. Non moins, c'est McPherson St. Louis. Au revoir.
Coming up next, the tip of the day.
Scary. Everything just shaking and making big creaky noises.
Earthquakes, big and small, take place in the Caribbean at least 10 times a year.
The dishes rattling and falling and breaking, then Vonnie started to scream.
All I could think to do was shout, "Get outside, get out!"
Earthquakes, hazards, take control, reduce your loss. If an earthquake hits, what can you do? Get down, get under an item of furniture like a table. Hold on and stay there until the quake passes. Find out lots more about earthquakes and other hazards at your local disaster office. A message from your National Disaster Office and SIDERA.
Everyone wants to be fit, healthy, and live a long, active life, but many of us don't know how simple it really is. The secret to healthy living is making small changes.
Drink a glass of water in the morning. Eat breakfast, as breakfast eaters are less likely to be obese and get diabetes. And cut down on harmful processed foods. Go for natural foods as much as possible to live a long and healthy life.
And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm.
Friend us on our Facebook page and be sure to like our GIS Dominica fan page. You can also catch up on past National and Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm your presenter, Tarnia Green.
And I'm Jarna Hector. Thank you for watching.